Parshas Yisro. Yisro contains the first description in the Torah of the giving of the Ten Commandments. The second description is in Parshas V'eschanan. And within the Ten Commandments is the mitzvah of Shabbos. It's the fifth of the Ten Commandments, and it starts with Zachoros Yom HaShabbos HaKadsho. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, to sanctify it. This could mean remember on Shabbos that it is Shabbos and don't do the wrong thing. It could also mean that you should prepare for Shabbos during the week. As Rashi says, that Tenu Leiv Liskor Tamid, remember Shabbos always. If you find something that would appropriate, that's nice, and it's appropriate for Shabbos, buy it, acquire it, and keep it for Shabbos. When I was growing up, and our household was of limited means, my mother would not buy cherries, which were very expensive, for us to consume during the week. They were a treat for Shabbos. She would spend the extra money on cherries for Shabbos. That is the fulfillment of Rashi's reading of this verse. Let's look at the next verse. The next verse is brief. It's only 6 words, and it requires some thought. It's a little problematic. This is chapter 20, verse 9. This is Chaf, Perek Chaf, Pasuk Tes. 6 days you should work, and do all of your work. Well, that's a little blunt. Those translations aren't as sharp as they could be. What is the difference between ta'avod and malachtecha, or avoda and malacha? Avoda, say the Meforshim, implies strenuous labor. Some measure of labor, as we know that what Bnei Israel did in Egypt and Mitzrayim was avoda, va'avodum, avodas parech. We had labor. Malacha is read to be creative activity. Melechas machsheves. It's also the type of activity that's prohibited on Shabbos. Lamites Malachos, 39 types of creative activity, which were derived from the creative activity that was used to build the Mishkan. So let's, for now, use as a working definition that you should work strenuously during the week and do your creative activity. Is there actually an obligation to work strenuously during the week? Is a person not permitted to take a vacation? Is a person not permitted to retire? Must he always work? Is a person not permitted to take a day off during the week and to not go to work on Sunday? What is exactly the meaning of Sheishes Yomim Tavod? So the Meforshim comment, and one of them is Rabbeinu Avram ben Rambam, the Rambam's son, who says, Rishus, Sheishes Yomim Tavod, you should work 6 days, Rishus, v'lo mitzvah. It's permissive, not an obligation. Well, why would you tell me I can do something? It doesn't say Sheishes Yomim or Shivas Yomim Tinshom that you can breathe during the 7 days of the week. Why would it say, oh, you're allowed to work? So if we read it in context, it seems to be that this is setting up a juxtaposition with the next verse, which is Yud, verse 10, which is in contrast to Shabbos. V'yom hashvi'i, Shabbos Hashem Elokecha, lo ta'aseh malacha. On the 7th day, it's Shabbos for God, don't do malacha. Okay, so we can see that there's a reading that it is permissive. The simple reading is that it's mandatory, but no one says that. No one says that one must work all the time or all 7 days. Rabbi Shimshon Hirsch, a family member told me that they are particular to say Rabbi Shamshin Refael Hirsch says that just like when the Almighty put Adam Rishon in Gan Eden, it was la'avda u'lishamra, to work it and to guard it. That there is actually a redemptive aspect to work, which is the fulfillment of our humanity and to a large extent the fulfillment of our purpose here on this earth. But it's not simply to work, but it's to work within the context of being observant Jews. And there are different types of work. But whatever work there is, if it's l'shem shamayim, in other words, it's not simply for our own pleasure, our own benefit, but it's to enable us to do Ritzon HaBorei, to do the will of God, then it's redemptive. The perhaps highest form of redemptive activity is learning Torah, and that requires malacha, that requires amelus, that requires persistence and perseverance and a type of strenuous activity, not strenuous physical activity, but strenuous mental activity. So what this is saying is, according to Rabbi Shamshon Refael Hirsch, is it's saying that we should not sit idle, but rather we should engage ourselves in productive activity. Okay, Vasisa kol malachtecha, and you would do all of your malach, all of your creative work. Is it possible for somebody to do all of their work in 6 days? And this actually is, it's reflected in Rashi, but it's also in the Mechilta. Is it even possible for a person to do all of his work in 6 days? Get everything done? So he says no. Ella Shabbos ki'ilu kol malachtecha asuya. No, but rather you should rest on Shabbos, you should cease as though all of your work is done. You should have no stress because of any unfinished projects, any unfinished homework, any unfinished assignments, whatever it is. You should rest as though you don't have any work to do. Davar acher, shvos mimachshavas avoda. You should even cease from thinking about work. Now, the sages refer to Shabbos as a gift from God. And if we take this seriously, it can be life-changing. Some people kind of push at the edges, and they think they're getting away with something by schmoozing about work, even though daber davar, in the Navi says that we should be careful not to talk about business. This is part of it. What we're trying to do is to create a sanctuary in time that we are buffered from all of the stresses of the week. And if somebody observes Shabbos in a way where not only does he not do work, he doesn't talk about it, he doesn't think about it, the spiritual heights to which a person can reach, are quite high. Now the Rabbi Bachya says that when it says Sheishas Yamim Tavod Vasisa Kol Malachtecha, what he means is, what the Torah means is that you should avoda, referring to avodas Hashem, service of God, and that you serve God at the same time or while you're doing malacha. That's what happens during the 6 days of the week. That's one type of service of Hashem, which is that we have our feet, if you will, in two areas, in two fields, service of God and doing malacha simultaneously. On Shabbos, on the other hand, we desist from that which could be a distraction, and we only engage in avodas Hashem. The Hachaim says, Sheishas Yamim Tavod Vasisa Kamalachtecha, that your work should be for Shabbos, that we should always be looking toward Shabbos, and this should be the focus. And that's implicit in Rashi, the Rashi that we mentioned earlier, which is that you should be mindful of Shabbos throughout the week and prepare for it whenever the opportunity arises. The concept of having a sanctuary in time is reflected in the greeting of Shabbat Shalom. I heard from my late brother, Zichron Avracha, Aaron Yosef Prero, that he pointed out that the Gemara Moed Katan says, and it's reflected in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Shin Pei Hey, that one is not supposed to be shoel b'she'elas shalom to an Avel. You're not supposed to ask an Avel how he's doing, because as the Aruch Shulchan explains and others, ein lo shalom, he doesn't have any shalom, he doesn't have any peace. Why doesn't he have peace? His heart is troubled. There's no way to untrouble the heart of an Avel. Time, nechama from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, consolation from above, will take care of that. But asking an Avel how he's doing is tantamount to stirring the pot of burning coals already. It only makes it worse. If he's torud, if he's preoccupied, if he's prepossessed, then asking him how he is can add to the sorrow. At some point, shalom becomes appropriate, whether it's after 7 days or after 30 days or after 12 months, depending on the nature of the avelos. But he said, we see from here that the notion of shalom means, at least in one aspect, it means a mind that's free of trouble. And when we wish our friends, our neighbors, even strangers who we see on the street, Shabbat Shalom, when we say, and it's implicit even in the greeting of a good Shabbos. What does a good Shabbos mean? What does a Shabbos of Shalom mean? It means may you be successful in guarding your mind, in protecting yourself from those kinds of thoughts that could bring you down on Shabbos. Shabbos uplifts. Shabbos connects us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the more we disconnect from those things that drag us down, the higher we can reach. Have a good Shabbos.